everybody. Welcome to our Sunday talk show, The World This Week. What is ISIS? This extreme Sunni organization is gaining more power in Iraq and now even threatening Jordan. Still no sign of the 3 abducted Israeli teens in the West Bank. Israeli President Shimon Peres gets a warm farewell from Washington. He is 91, cannot imagine retirement, but his long life mission of achieving peace in the Middle East was only partially successful.
You helped us maintain a resilient democracy.
And the World Cup. Team USA survives the first round. Brazil hardly made it in the beginning of the second round. These are some of the issues we'll touch upon this Sunday. We'll start with Mike Huckabee. He's the former Arkansas governor. He's well known as a conservative Republican in the United States. He ran in the Republican primaries in 2008, and he's frequently mentioned as a possible candidate for 2016. But Huckabee is also strongly aligned with the Israeli right wing. So, Governor, thank you very much for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Yaakov. Thank you.
What brings you to Jerusalem this time around?
Well, there's several things. One of the things that I wanted to do is to visit with the family of Naftali Frankel, and I had a chance to visit with Avi and Rachel, his parents. As everyone here knows, Naftali is an American citizen as well as an Israeli citizen, and I think the family needs to know that Americans are praying for them and truly standing behind them as they await word from their son. I've been a busy guy this week. It's been a very, very good trip.
Looks like the Obama administration at least took some time off, if not abandoned completely, this peace process in the Middle East. Are you satisfied with that?
You know, I'm not satisfied at all with the administration's policy toward the Middle East, and specifically toward Israel. For example, I think that he and the Secretary of State should have issued strong statements after the kidnapping. Only statement came from the spokesperson at the State Department, who issued what I consider to be an idiotic statement saying that both sides need to show restraint. And I'm not sure I know what the other side is, and I can't imagine what she meant by that statement. In the bigger context, though, Yaakov, I think that the president's got a real problem in not understanding how critical it is for Israel to have safe and secure borders. And I don't know if it's a lack of understanding of the region. I know he's been here, but I can't help but wonder, did he pay attention?
You know, Governor, that President Peres of Israel, to name one, thinks that Israel should resume negotiations with President Abbas.
Well, that's Israel's decision to make. The one thing that is of great concern to me as an American is that once the merger with Hamas happened, I'm not sure how the United States can justify continuing any discussion with the Palestinians because we, by our own policy, by even the State Department's definition, consider Hamas a terrorist organization. And if a terrorist organization has now become part of the government, I don't think there ought to be another dime of American money that goes to the Palestinian Authority until there's a divorce in that marriage, because it's not good for the people of Israel. I don't think it's good for the Palestinians to team up with people who celebrate the kidnapping of school children. This is, to me, outrageous.
And there's, of course, the 2016 question. Will you run again, Governor?
It's a great question. I just don't have the answer for you because it's something I'm certainly open to. I'll take a look at it after we get through the midterm elections. But I haven't ruled it out. At least I can give you that much.
That's more than Hillary Clinton gives. Is she an eligible candidate?
Well, of course she would be. She would be a very formidable candidate for the Democrats, but if she does run, she's going to have some answers to provide, particularly on what happened in Benghazi. That happened on her watch, and I think she's got to answer the question, what happened to American foreign policy during her tenure as Secretary of State? I've asked Democrats and people who love Hillary, I've said, name one country on the planet, just one, where the U.S. has a better relationship today than we did in January of 2009 when this administration took power. Nobody can name one, because there isn't one.
Governor Mike Huckabee, I thank you very much.
Thank you. Great to talk to you, Yaakov.
Abe Foxman, ADL National Director, is one of the most prominent Jewish leaders in the United States. This week he was a guest of the Jewish Media Summit in Jerusalem, and Mr. Foxman joins us from there. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. It's good to be here.
ADL strongly criticized the Fatah-Hamas unity government, saying it's a step off the path towards peace. What makes you so sure?
Well, I think that everything that we know about Hamas, everything the American government knows about Hamas, is that it's a long, long way from anywhere that most of us believe the Arab world and certainly its adversaries need to be. For the American government to immediately embrace them without seeing whether in fact there is any change in their rhetoric, in their ideology, I believe is a step back for peace. And certainly since then, we've seen the kidnappings. Now, the Prime Minister says he has enough evidence that it is Hamas. And if it is Hamas, it's not only a step back, it may be a major, major step back in terms of peace, because the Abu Mazen embrace, if you will, the world's embrace of it, certainly will undermine the Israeli feelings of confidence of the world's understanding of the neighborhood that it lives in.
Would you say that the administration embraced Hamas or merely was willing to work with it to give it a chance?
Well, you know what? There's absolutely no rush. Of all these years where Hamas has had consistently a hateful, anti-Israel, anti-Jewish, anti-peace, what was the rush? Where were they running? They weren't going anywhere. Why couldn't the United States say, okay, Mr. Abbas, this is what you want to do, fine. Now we'll wait and see how this thing develops. Why was there a rush to judgment to say, okay, we're going to start working with you tomorrow? Based on what action, based on what confidence measures did the U.S. have to run in that direction?
Well, maybe let's face it, they lost hope here in the Middle East.
Well, if you lose hope from the partnership that you've established with both, how does Hamas enhance hope?
So what's next? Nothing is going to happen?
No, I think Washington has taken a pause. I think, look, at this moment, Israel is preoccupied, which I hope all good people around the world should be preoccupied with bringing back to safety 3 young Israeli citizens. So let's see how this plays out. Who knows, when this issue is over and it resolves itself fine, and maybe we see the true face of Hamas. Maybe Abu Mazen has already indicated that he sees a different face of what's happening and how it will impact on it. Sometimes out of a trauma comes something positive. Maybe out of this will come something positive. Certainly, the semi-dialogue between the Palestinians and the Israelis on the issue of the kidnapping, the words that Abbas used in Saudi Arabia, the fact that the Israelis are now operating in order to remove some of the terrorist level with the cooperation of the Palestinian Authority, that may trigger a different start to the peace talks that we had before. So I'm an optimist.
I'm curious, Mr. Foxman, what's your reaction to the Presbyterian Church decision to divest funds in protest of the settlement policy of Israel?
I think it's a sad day. It's a sad day for Christians. I understand that in addition to the Presbyterian Church voting to boycott 3 companies that all they do is help in the safety and security and well-being of the Israeli people. They don't produce weapons. All they do is protect human lives, which I think is a hypocritical step. I understand there was a debate in the discussion whether to remove the Jewish people from Presbyterian prayers. To me, this is not only an anti-Israel action. I think this is an act which borders on anti-Semitism. When the world out there is burning, when people are being killed and torched and murdered because of who they are, Sunni against Shia, Shia against Sunni, when Christian churches are being burned, when Christians are being intimidated, when people who convert are being put to death, here is this Christian entity, church, who focuses its efforts and attention and punishment on the Jewish state. My God, what cynicism, what hypocrisy, and what level of animosity to the Jewish people.
We'll leave it at that. Abe Foxman, thank you very much.
Thank you, Yaakov. Good to be with you.
And now the Palestinian perspective. Elias Zananiri is a Palestinian political advisor and a media consultant, formerly advisor to the Palestinian government. Thank you, Mr. Zananiri, for joining us from Jerusalem.
Thank you.
Describe to me, if you will, what is the position of the Palestinian Authority between Israel and Hamas now?
Well, as far as the Palestinian Authority is concerned now, it really wants to see this issue of the kidnapping coming to its closest as soon as possible, and certainly with the safe return of the 3 abductees to their families. It's a method that has been really used by Israel to increase the level of, they call it sometimes even persecution of the Palestinians. A collective punishment process has already started right after the kidnapping of the 3 Israelis, and no sane Palestinian would love to see this kind of activity or measures by the Israeli army against all sorts of Palestinian cities, villages and refugee camps in search for the 3 abductees. However, they still understand, or people understand, that at the end of the day, Israel needs to find these 3 abductees and bring them back home.
This unity government, Fatah, Hamas, will it hold?
Well, first, let me correct, it's not a unity government, basically. It's a government that is based on national reconciliation between the 2 movements, Fatah and Hamas. They both agreed that a third-party government, so to speak, a government made up of independent Palestinian technocrats who are neither members of Hamas nor of Fatah, they will form a government, and this government will have only one duty, and that is to prepare for the elections early in 2015. Other than that, this government will have nothing to do with the peace negotiations with Israel.
But let me ask you differently then. Is this a real reconciliation, sincere one?
Well, it looks reconciliation on the paper that was signed. It looks it's a reconciliation in reports here and there, but there are still lots of things that are happening. Certainly the kidnapping of the 3 and the Israeli finger pointing to Hamas. President Abbas, by the way, made it very clear a couple of days ago, and he said that we will bring those responsible for the kidnapping to justice. And that means no matter who they are, and certainly he had heard what Israel said about Hamas and possibly being involved, but it doesn't matter for him. He undertook to bring those to justice if they happen to be living in the PA areas and not under Israeli control, i.e. in Area C that are fully occupied by Israel.
Do you see, Mr. Zananiri, anything that will restart the peace talks between Israel and the Palestinians?
Well, when it comes to the negotiations, it is very clear that, first of all, that it was Israel that suspended the negotiations with the PLO. Secondly, President Abbas has made it very clear quite a number of times that for the Palestinians of the PLO to resume negotiations, Israel has to do 2 things. First of all, to release the 4th phase of the pre-Oslo prisoners who were supposed to be released according to the agreement that Benjamin Netanyahu and John Kerry reached, and that was on the 28th of March, last March, but Israel failed to release them. And secondly, that if these talks are to be resumed, there should be an emphasis for the first 3 months on the borders, and that means Israel will only be free to build in those settlements that are to stay under Israeli sovereignty, and this solves the problem of settlement freeze, no settlement freeze, we will and we want, and all sorts of things. But in those 8 months of the negotiations, there were dozens of thousands of tenders for building new housing units in East Jerusalem and in the West Bank settlements. And for the Palestinians, they would say, what is this? Israel is holding negotiations for the sake of negotiations, to use time to build more and more facts on the ground, and then make a 2-state solution impossible.
What happens after Abbas steps down, or maybe even before? Will Hamas take over?
Well, I wish I brought my crystal ball with me so I can tell you what will happen tomorrow or next week.
Yeah, it's the Middle East.
But look, I think Israel is missing a chance. It's not only the moderate leader that the Palestinians have today, i.e. Mahmoud Abbas, but there's a chance that for the first time in the history of the Arab-Israeli conflict, you have 57 Arab and Islamic countries that are ready for normal and diplomatic ties with Israel the minute Israel accepts the two-state solution and delivers the Palestinian territories it occupied back in 1967 to the Palestinians where they can build their own state. This is a historical opportunity that I don't even understand the logic behind the Israeli government rejecting or refusing to deal in a positive way with the Arab Peace Initiative. The Israelis have been asking for the Arab recognition for so many years, and now when this recognition is on the table, nobody in the Israeli government is even considering it. So the question is, who's to blame now?
Mr. Elias Zananiri, I thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And this has been The World This Week. We'll see you here next Sunday. Have a great week. See you.